Every time you need someone's approval to make a decision, you give away a piece of your freedom. And the worst part is this: most people do not even notice it happening. They think they are just asking for advice. They think they are just trying to be understood. They think they are just looking for support. They think they are just being careful. But slowly, without realizing it, they begin to live as if their own life needs permission from other people. They want to change, but first, they need someone to believe in them. They want to walk away, but first, they need someone to say they are right. They want to start something new, but first they need someone to guarantee it will work. They want to value themselves, but first they need someone else to recognize their worth. And this is one of the most dangerous traps of modern life: living with a mind that only moves when the outside world allows it. The Stoics understood something that many people still refuse to accept. A person who depends on the approval of others can never be truly free. Because approval changes. Today they praise you. Tomorrow they criticize you. Today they say you are strong. Tomorrow they say you have changed too much. Today they enjoy your presence. Tomorrow they are uncomfortable with your silence. And if your peace depends on that, then you do not really have peace. You only have short breaks between one validation and the next. In this video, you are going to understand why the need for approval weakens your mind, how it controls your decisions without you realizing it, and how to start rebuilding your life in silence, without needing everyone to understand your process. Because the moment you stop living for applause, you begin to live with direction. The need for approval rarely looks like a prison in the beginning. At first, it looks like kindness. It looks like politeness. It looks like humility. It looks like wisdom. It looks like you are simply trying to do the right thing. You say things like, "I just want to know what they think. I just want to be sure. I just do not want to disappoint anyone. I just want people to understand me." But there is a huge difference between listening to advice and handing someone the steering wheel of your life. Listening to advice can be wisdom. Depending on approval is weakness disguised as caution. The problem begins when you cannot act without first imagining how other people will react. You want to post something, but you think, what will they say? You want to start a project, but you think, what if they laugh at me? You want to change your routine, but you think, what if they think I am being extreme? You want to walk away from someone, but you think, what if they call me cold? Do you see what is happening? Before you even act, you have already placed an audience inside your mind. And that audience comments on everything, judges everything, interrupts everything, weakens everything. Epictetus taught that some things are within our control and others are not. Other people's opinions are not within your control. Their interpretations are not within your control. Their maturity is not within your control. Their approval is not within your control. But your attitude is. Your choices are. Your discipline is. Your response is. Your silence is. So why waste so much energy trying to control the one thing that was never in your hands? The person who lives chasing approval becomes a slave to something unstable. And few things are more unstable than human opinion. People approve when it benefits them. They criticize when they feel threatened. They applaud you as long as you do not make them uncomfortable. They support your growth until your growth exposes their own stagnation. That is why, if you want to develop a Stoic mind, you must accept this truth. Not everyone who has an opinion about your life has the wisdom to understand your path. And that is okay. You do not need to turn every decision into a public trial. You do not need to explain every boundary. You do not need to justify every change. You do not need to defend every step of your growth. Some people will only understand your transformation after they realize they can no longer access the version of you that accepted everything. And that will be enough. No one is born needing to please everyone. That is learned. Somewhere in life, You may have learned that being accepted felt safer than being honest. Maybe you grew up believing that being agreeable was the price of being loved. Maybe you learned that disagreement created conflict. Maybe you were criticized whenever you showed your personality. Maybe you were ignored when you expressed your needs. Maybe you confused love with approval. So, little by little, you started adjusting yourself. You adjusted your voice. You measured your words. You hid your desires. You apologized even when you had done nothing wrong. You accepted less than you deserved just to avoid losing people. And this creates a divided mind. On the outside, you seem calm. But on the inside, you are constantly asking yourself, was I too harsh? Did I say too much? Are they upset with me? Will they leave? Do they still like me? This emotional prison is exhausting because you are not really living. You are performing. You perform the role of the pleasant person, the available person, the understanding person, the person who says yes when they want to say no, the person who smiles when they are hurt, the person who stays silent when they should speak, the person who accepts disrespect because they are afraid of conflict. And here is the painful truth. The more you need approval, the less respect you usually receive. Because people can sense when you are afraid to displease them. They test your limits. They ask for more than they should. They criticize more than they should. They invade your peace more than they should. And you keep giving in, because deep down you believe that if you say no, you will be abandoned. But listen carefully. If someone only stays in your life while you are making yourself smaller, they do not love you. They love the control they have over you. Stoicism does not teach you to be cold. It teaches you to be free. And freedom begins when you understand that not every rejection is a loss. Sometimes, being rejected by someone who wanted to control you is the first sign that your soul is returning to itself. Sometimes, losing people is not punishment. It is protection. Sometimes, being misunderstood is not failure. It is proof that you are no longer living according to old expectations. And sometimes, silence is not weakness. It is the beginning of self-respect. A person does not lose their identity all at once. It happens slowly. You stop saying what you think to avoid discomfort. Then you stop doing what you want to avoid judgment. Then you stop setting boundaries to avoid conflict. Then you stop dreaming bigger because you do not want to make others uncomfortable. Then you stop dressing how you like. You stop posting. You stop trying. You stop choosing. You stop becoming. And when you finally look at your life, you realize something painful. Many of your decisions were not truly yours. They were made by fear. Fear of disappointing people. Fear of looking selfish. Fear of being criticized. Fear of being abandoned. Fear of being misunderstood. But a life built only to avoid criticism also avoids growth. Because growth makes people uncomfortable. Change makes people uncomfortable. Confidence makes people uncomfortable. Silence makes people uncomfortable. Boundaries make people uncomfortable. Self-respect makes people uncomfortable, especially for those who benefited from your insecurity. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself not to let the opinion of others rule his soul. And that lesson is just as necessary today. Because if you do not define who you are, the world will define you. If you do not choose your values, someone else will choose your priorities. If you do not protect your peace, someone else will spend your energy. If you do not stand firm in your decisions, someone else will push you back into the version of yourself that was easier to control. That is why one question must follow you from now on. Am I doing this because I believe in it, or because I want to be approved? This question can change your life. Before accepting an invitation, ask it. Before responding to a message, ask it. Before explaining yourself too much, ask it. Before apologizing without guilt, ask it. Before changing your plans just to please someone, ask it. Ask yourself, am I acting from conviction or from fear? Because the Stoic mind does not act to impress. It acts from alignment. A strong person does not need to look strong. They simply stop betraying themselves. And when you stop betraying yourself, your life begins to change quietly. Not with noise, not with drama, not with announcements, not with the need to prove anything, but with small decisions repeated every day. You begin to say no. You begin to answer less emotionally. You begin to explain less. You begin to choose your peace. You begin to stop chasing people who treat you like an option. You begin to understand that your worth is not decided by someone else's attention. And that is when your life starts changing in silence. One of the biggest emotional traps is believing that every correct decision will be understood by the people around you. It will not. Sometimes, you will make the right choice and still be criticized. You will set a boundary and be called difficult. You will walk away and be called ungrateful. You will change your routine and be called arrogant. You will stay silent and be called cold. You will stop begging and be called proud. And this is where many people go back to their old ways, not because their decision was wrong, but because they could not handle being misunderstood. A strong mind must learn to survive the discomfort of not being understood. You do not need to call a meeting to explain your growth. You do not need to convince everyone that your silence is peace and not arrogance. You do not need to prove that your boundaries are healthy and not selfish. You do not need to explain your healing to people who benefited from your wounds. Some people will misunderstand you because they truly cannot see your perspective. Others will misunderstand you because understanding you would force them to admit that they were wrong about you. Either way, your duty is not to control the story they tell. Your duty is to control your character. The Stoic understands that reputation belongs partly to the outside world, but character belongs to the soul. You can influence your reputation, but you cannot fully control it. People will say what they want. They will assume what they want. They will remember what benefits them. They will distort what they do not want to accept. But your character is yours. Your actions are yours. Your discipline is yours. Your integrity is yours. Your response is yours. If you are acting with wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control, keep going. Even if they do not clap, even if they do not understand, even if they talk. Because a true life requires the courage to be misunderstood. I do not need everyone to understand me in order to continue doing what is right for me. That sentence is freedom. Because many people remain trapped, not because they do not know what to do, but because they are waiting for people to approve the version of them that those same people are not ready to accept. Stop waiting. Your growth does not need permission. Your peace does not need a witness. Your transformation does not need applause. There is a kind of dependency that many people do not recognize, the dependency on validation. A person needs likes to feel interesting. They need compliments to feel capable. They need messages to feel important. They need attention to feel loved. They need recognition to keep going. They need someone's response to feel safe. And when that validation does not come, they collapse. Their mood changes. Anxiety rises. Insecurity appears. Their mind begins to create stories. Did I do something wrong? Am I not enough? Are they ignoring me? Did I lose my value? Why did they not respond? Why did they not notice? Look at the trap. The person places their emotional stability in the hands of behaviors they cannot control. This is not love. This is not connection. This is not humility. It is dependence. And every dependence weakens freedom. Stoicism teaches that you must train your mind to find firmness within, not outside. This does not mean compliments are bad. It does not mean recognition is meaningless. It does not mean affection does not matter. It means you cannot depend on these things to know who you are. Receive compliments with gratitude, but do not live for them. Listen to criticism with humility, but do not die because of it. Accept affection with joy, but do not destroy yourself when it is absent. Value support, but do not turn it into an emotional crutch. A strong mind appreciates approval, but does not need it to walk. There is a difference between enjoying recognition and needing recognition to continue. The first is human. The second is a prison. And if you want to know whether you are dependent on approval, observe what happens inside you when you do not receive it. Do you lose motivation? Do you lose your center? Do you start questioning your value? Do you feel invisible? Do you feel angry? Do you feel anxious? If the absence of approval destroys your peace, then approval has become your master. And the Stoic path is about taking back the command of yourself, not by becoming arrogant, not by pretending you do not care about anything, but by building an inner foundation that does not collapse every time the outside world is silent. Because silence from others is not proof that you are worthless. Sometimes, silence is just silence. And your mind must stop turning every absence of validation into a personal sentence against you. When you stop seeking approval, some people will notice. They will notice that you no longer explain everything. They will notice that you no longer respond with desperation. They will notice that you no longer apologize for every little thing. They will notice that you no longer try to please everyone. They will notice that you no longer accept emotional crumbs. They will notice that you no longer chase people who treat you as replaceable. And when that happens, resistance may appear. Some people will say, "You have changed." And maybe they are right. You have changed. But changing does not always mean becoming worse. Sometimes changing means finally refusing to abandon yourself. The old version of you may have accepted everything to avoid losing anyone. The new version understands that losing yourself is too high a price to pay. The old version explained everything. The new version understands that posture also communicates. The old version needed to be chosen. The new version learns to choose as well. The old version confused silence with weakness. The new version understands that silence can be power. And here is something important. You do not need to announce your transformation. Do not turn your growth into a performance. Just change. Quietly. Change your responses. Change your habits. Change your boundaries. Change your routine. Change your availability. Change your standards. Change the way you speak to yourself. Change the people who have access to your energy. Real change does not need a stage. It needs repetition. And the more you rebuild yourself in silence, the less vulnerable you become to external judgment. Because when your transformation depends on people seeing it, you are still attached to their approval. But when you change in silence, you are doing it for yourself. Not for applause, not for revenge, not to prove them wrong, not to impress anyone. You are doing it because your life deserves your own respect. That is when growth becomes real. When no one is watching and you still choose discipline. When no one is praising you and you still continue. When no one understands you and you still remain aligned with your values. When no one notices your effort and you still refuse to go back to the old version of yourself. That is Stoic strength. Quiet, firm, unshakable. Now you may be thinking, this makes sense, but how do I actually start? Start small. The mind does not become free in one day. It becomes free through repeated decisions. First, stop consulting everyone about decisions that belong to you. Not every choice needs someone else's opinion. If you have reflected, if you understand your reasons, if you accept the consequences, act. Advice can help, but permission is not necessary. Second, practice saying no without over-explaining. A simple, "I cannot," is a complete answer. A simple, "that does not work for me," is enough. A simple no does not need to become a courtroom defense. People who respect you will not demand an emotional report before accepting your boundaries. Third, do something good without telling anyone. This is powerful. Help someone without posting it. Study without announcing it. Train without showing it. Improve without needing witnesses. Win quietly. This strengthens your independence. It teaches your mind that an action does not need applause to have value. Fourth, observe your anxiety when someone does not approve of you. Do not run from it. Watch it. Ask yourself, what am I afraid of losing? Does this person truly define my value? Am I being faithful to myself or just trying to be pleasant? What would I choose if I were not afraid of being judged? These questions bring you back to yourself. Fifth, choose one area of your life where you will stop asking permission. It can be your routine, your studies, your work, your appearance, your silence, your boundaries, your emotional availability, your goals. Choose one area and say, in this part of my life, I take command again. Sixth, accept that some people will be uncomfortable. This is part of freedom. Freedom always disturbs those who benefited from your prison. When you stop being available all the time, people may complain. When you stop explaining yourself, people may assume things. When you stop chasing, people may accuse you of being distant. When you stop pleasing, people may call you selfish. But remember, their discomfort is not always proof that you are wrong. Sometimes it is proof that the old dynamic no longer controls you. Seventh, build an internal standard. Every day, ask yourself, did I act with wisdom? Did I respect my values? Was I fair? Did I show courage? Did I control myself? Did I betray myself just to be accepted? These questions are more important than, did they like me? Because Stoicism does not ask whether you pleased the crowd. It asks whether you governed yourself. And this is where real strength begins. Not in controlling what others think, but in controlling who you become, regardless of what they think. There is one kind of approval that matters. Not the approval of the crowd, not the approval of people who judge you from the outside, not the approval of those who only support you when your choices benefit them. The approval that truly matters is the quiet approval of your own conscience. It is lying down at night, knowing you did not betray your values to be accepted. It is knowing you did not make yourself smaller to fit into someone else's expectations. It is realizing you did not beg for the presence of someone who did not value your heart. It is feeling that even though you are imperfect, you are trying to live with more truth. That peace does not make noise, but it sustains you. Applause fades, comments fade, opinions fade, trends fade, people change their minds. But the peace of a person who lives aligned with their values remains. And when you begin to seek that inner approval, something changes. You become less anxious, less needy, less reactive, less manipulable. You begin to choose better. You speak less. You observe more. You protect your peace. You respect yourself. And ironically, when you stop begging for approval, you often begin to receive more respect. Because people can sense when someone is no longer desperate to be accepted. Your posture changes. Your energy changes. Your decisions change. Your silence changes. Your presence changes. You stop being a person searching for validation and become someone building direction. And direction is worth more than applause. Because applause depends on others. Direction depends on you. Approval can disappear, but discipline remains. Praise can fade, but character remains. Attention can leave, but self-respect remains. And the person who has self-respect is no longer easy to control. They may still feel pain. They may still feel doubt. They may still want to be understood, but they no longer abandon themselves just to receive temporary validation. That is freedom. Not the absence of emotion, but the ability to keep your dignity even when your emotions are loud. If you have made it this far, understand this. You were not born to be a hostage of other people's opinions. You can listen to advice. You can accept useful criticism. You can learn from wise people. You can admit when you are wrong. But you cannot hand your identity to people who do not have to live your life. The approval of others is too unstable to be the foundation of your peace. Today, they like you. Tomorrow, they judge you. Later, they forget. Then they return. Then they give another opinion. If you follow every external voice, eventually, you will lose your own. So from today forward, start small. Do not explain everything. Do not ask permission for every step. Do not wait for applause to continue. Do not abandon your values to be accepted. Do not confuse rejection with failure. Do not confuse criticism with truth. Do not confuse solitude with being wrong. Sometimes, standing alone in the right decision is better than being surrounded in a life that is not yours. The Stoic mind does not seek to be applauded. It seeks to be free. And freedom begins when you can say, even if no one approves, I can still act with wisdom, courage, and respect for myself.